Welcome to session 15, business planning. Probably going to be our shortest session and probably one of the more difficult ones, like the one a few sessions back on tracking your numbers. It's one that people don't really want to hear about, but it's one of the critical building blocks in building a strong business, and of course that's business planning. Now, if you take a look at business planning, I think in its simplicity what that really means is we're trying to help assist an agent like yourself in setting some goals and writing a plan to make those goals work so your business can develop and mature over the course of this year, the next year, etc. So I guess when I say the words business planning, that sometimes scares people a little bit. When I first decided to create a business plan for real estate people, this was back probably 15 years ago, and I imagine some of you that might have been around with me at that time remember this. I actually sat down and on my analytical side, started determining all the things that I thought you had to write out and plan for yourself if you're going to plan your business for a 12-month period of time. And I actually put together about a 12 to 15 page outline of a business plan of every aspect of what you had to think about, what you had to do, and where you had to go to make your business go from level A to level B to level C. And I felt very good about it, and I presented this at a superstar retreat. And I presented it at that time. The retreat had probably 2,000 people in attendance, and I spent probably an hour and a half, 2 hours on this business plan, gave them all a copy of the plan, an outline of the plan. Then I said to them, I want you to go back and take the time to in detail fill it out, because the business plan becomes your roadmap, plan, map, for where you're going to go with your business for the next 12 months. And I got to tell you, they were so excited as a group about doing this. And then I went a step further. I said, okay, what I want you to do, if you fill out the entire plan, send me a copy, let me critique it. Now, I said that to 2,000 people. Now, huge mistake on my part, because I thought maybe out of 2,000 people, 25 or 30 would actually complete the plan in detail. Because I determined that if you actually complete the plan, you're going to fill out probably 12, 15 pages. Well, what I didn't realize is a lot of these customers of ours were really determined to take what I was teaching and put it into their business in the highest level. Well, over the course of the next 4 weeks, I received in the mail and by fax 850 business plans from agents. And these business plans were probably running from 15 pages minimum to 25 to 30 pages each as they went through and completed everything I asked them to do. If you can picture, the plans started arriving, I started stacking them in the corner, and I'm not exaggerating, I soon had a stack probably 8 feet high stacked in my office of business plans. So I said, well, I made a commitment. I'm going to critique these plans and send them back. So I took the first plan and I looked at my watch and I said, okay, it's 9:30, and I started to go through the plan and making notes and suggesting this and that, and then I turned the page and started critiquing that. And then I said, no, I think you should do this versus that, and I want you to think about how you're going to do this. Well, it took me someplace around an hour and a half to critique the first plan. And then I rubber stamped it, and I put an envelope and mailed it back, and then I took the next plan, and it took me about an hour and a half, and I went, wait a minute, I've got 850 plans here, and they're going to take me at least an hour and a half each, and that's 850 hours, which would be most of the rest of this year, just to critique it. By the time I finish the last plan, the year will be done. So I made a decision. I wrote just a cover letter and said, thank you for writing the plan. Congratulations on completing it. Now go follow it. I couldn't critique it because I got too many back. I apologize. Well, first of all, I tell you what, I had so many people that were so mad at me because I didn't critique their plan. And I wrote back and said, wait a minute, you should be so proud that you wrote a plan. If you just follow whatever you wrote, you're better off than what you were in the past. Well, a couple of years later, all these agents realized that by writing these plans for themselves, they were much better off than they'd ever been in the past. Because for most people to sit down and say, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to accomplish A, B, and C. And I want to do it by these dates. And I have to do these 3 things to make it happen. Just going through that exercise for most people is an incredibly important exercise and will propel your business forward in almost every case. You've all heard the words goal setting. In essence, that's what we're doing for our business in business planning. We're just doing some basic goal setting. I tell people all the time that if you want to build your life and make your life more fun, more exciting, more productive, more profitable, you set goals in certain areas. financial goals, physical goals, mental goals, family goals, spiritual goals. You write out 2 or 3 things you want to accomplish in each area. You write a plan to make it happen. You carry that plan in your pocket and away you go. Earl Nightingale, who you've heard me talk about in the past, in his record, The Strangest Secret, says that man has no problem achieving the goals that they set. Man has problem setting goals. So in business planning, the challenge is always the same, trying to get you to actually write a goal and then build a plan around it. As with so many things in the real estate business, the planning certainly is not one of the industry strengths for agents, okay, in terms of agent planning. But if you take a look at what a business plan is, and in its simplest form, a business plan is simply a document, a page or 2, because by the way, and you'll see this in a minute, I cut it down from 30 pages to about a page and a half, so it's something you can easily do. A business plan is simply a document that outlines what you've done, where you're going, and the steps required to get there. That's all it is. I want to sell 50 homes in the next 12 months. Okay, last year I only sold 24, so I'm going to increase it by 100%. And here's the steps I have to take to make that happen. And that's really all your business plan is. So let's take a look at the simplicity of a business plan that I want each one of you to fill out, create for yourself, and then do not send it to me to be critiqued, because I'm not going to do it. First of all, in your business plan, you should take your last 12 months and do a recap of what you did the last 12 months. How much money did you earn? How many transactions did you close? How many listings did you take? How many listings sold did you have? How many buyer-controlled sales? What was your average commission check? How many days did you work? How many hours per day did you prospect? How many contacts did you make on an average day? Just take some of the basic fundamentals and recap what you did in the last 12 months. And if you look at that very carefully, you'll see, based on tracking numbers and ratios, why you ended up, remember the earlier session, where you did. Second, then, I want you to set your goals for the upcoming year. First, I'm going to recap what I've done. I did 24 deals. My average commission was $6,000. I made X number of dollars. I worked X number of days, etc. Now, my goal for this year is to do 50 deals. And to do 50 deals, I'm going to have to take X number of listings. I'll have X number of sales. My closing ratio on listings, I want it to be at 70%. And I just write out the goals that I've set. The third part of your plan I want you to think about a lot, and that is the numbers required for you to achieve your goals. If your goal is to do 50 deals, project right now how many hours do you think you'll have to prospect? How many days will you have to work? How many contacts will you have to make? How many presentations will you have to go on? How many listings will you have to take? How many of those will sell? Project out all the numbers in as much detail as you can. Then, of course, next is the fun part. And that is to write out in detail the steps you have to take to achieve the goal. Well, if I do 50 deals, I've got to learn my prospecting scripts better. I've got to work harder on pre-qualifying a seller. I've got to tighten up my efficiency on working with buyers. I can't be showing them 24 homes. I've got to show them 3 or 4. I have to become a little bit better at time management. I'm going to probably have to hire a part-time assistant in maybe 6 months from now to handle some of my business. I need to make sure I track my numbers. Now, these are all the steps I'm going to write down, okay, to achieve the goal I've set. And what's really fun about doing a business plan is writing down the steps that you're going to take to achieve the goal you set. That is what makes the whole plan fun, because you can start to see what you have to do. And next, in your business plan, we want you to write out a copy of a daily schedule. Produce a daily schedule, just a one-day schedule that you can duplicate time and time again. See, for example, what time are you going to show up? What time are you going to do your admin work? What time are you going to return phone calls? What time are you going to do your prospecting? What time are you going to do your lead follow-up? What time are you going to lunch? What time are you going to do your pre-listing packages? What time do you want your appointments? Just create a schedule. Keep it in your plan so you can look at it all the time. And then the last part of your business plan is any problems that you think you're going to encounter as you go after this plan, and any solutions that you have at the top of your head. So now what you're going to have is probably maybe a 2-page plan, handwritten or typed. And then what we suggest is you carry that with you in your pocket, your purse, your briefcase, virtually all the time. Every morning you walk in and you take your business plan and you set it on the corner of your desk. And then you start to work because you have one eye going back to that plan, because that plan is the reminder, that's the payoff, that's the roadmap, that's the track you're going to follow to make your business go the way you want it to go. Now, the challenge, not uncommon, is for agents to say to me, well, Mike, see, I wrote the plan in November for the next year. And then I set it in my desk, and papers got put on it, and then I got kind of some files, and I didn't pay attention. And then I was looking through some stuff, and I found it in May. And I was way off track. I said, well, that's very common. Your business plan has to be visible, it has to be public, it has to be read every day, it has to be critiqued, it has to be used. Then I've had agents say to me, well, I wrote the plan, and halfway through I was so far off, it was just a waste of time. So I just set it aside because I wasn't going to get there anyhow. I was too discouraged. I go, okay, that's, again, very common problem. Think about your business plan this way. It's a working document, okay, that you're going to make a strong commitment to, but at the same time, you can make adjustments to it anytime you want. You can adjust your plan whenever necessary. You start out at the end of the first month, you said, my goal was to do X, and all you got to was B. Well, that could affect what you get by the end of the year, so maybe you're going to adjust your goal. I tell people all the time, don't be afraid to adjust your goals up or down quarterly. Okay? Every 3 months, take a very careful look at your plan. Okay? And what are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? Where are you off the track? Do you need to adjust it? Should you adjust it? Okay? And if you do adjust it, what are the new plans going to be? So remember, it's a working document. By the end of the year, your plan should be scribbled on and written on and crossed out and redone and have red on it and green and blue and et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Now, if it is a good working document, okay, and you make a strong commitment to make it work, my goal for you would be to have at least a 20% increase in your business every year. See, there's no sense in writing a plan to do the same thing every year. Your objective is to increase. If you take these sessions we're working on together and you make these part of your brain and part of your life, you're going to see an increase in business. You cannot stop it from happening unless you're totally the most negative person in the history of mankind, and I know you're not. You wouldn't be here if you were. So we recommend a 20% increase. So each year as you write your new plan, you take what you did last year, add 20%. Now, somebody's going to say, well, Mike, last year I did 6 deals. If I had 20%, I'm only adding a third of a deal. Well, use some reality here, okay? We work with thousands of people that are doing 50, 60, 70, 80 deals a year. You start adding 20% on, it's pretty substantial. Now, again, I want you to keep your plan as public as you possibly can. I would recommend that you give a copy of this to your manager or your broker. If you have an accountability partner, you give a copy to your accountability partner. If you have an assistant, your assistant gets a copy. Obviously, your spouse gets a copy of this plan. I would keep a copy of the plan at home if you work out of your home office. Definitely a copy on your desk at the office where you work. Keep a copy in your briefcase, your purse. It has to be something that every time you see it, touch it, feel it, it triggers some emotion to get back to work. Okay, and that's what those goals are all about. Okay? Now, as you become a little more sophisticated, you'll probably want to add a profit and loss statement to your plan. Don't worry about that at this point. Now, a little challenge as you start doing your planning. And the challenge is always the numbers, okay? Because I said to you, you have to go ahead and you have to put down what you think your numbers will be. And maybe you haven't tracked enough yet. Maybe you haven't kept track enough. So, prepare to look at your numbers virtually every day as you start writing your plan. And look at your numbers every day, then look at them every week, then look at them every month, look at them every quarter, and check them against your plan. And or in some cases, you'll actually fill your numbers in on your plan as you go to see what adjustments you have to make, okay? Because it is important that you understand you're going to make adjustments. I will say this to you. I've had my company for over 30 years. I don't think through today I've ever actually accomplished all the goals I've set for my company. But my company has grown every year, even sometimes in little bits of amount or little amounts. It's grown every year for 30 years because we have a plan every year of what we want to accomplish, how we want to make it happen, the numbers to support it, the schedule we have to follow, the steps we have to take, and then any challenges and solutions. So this will work for you all the time. So you got to look at those numbers all the time and be prepared to adjust when necessary. One of the things that I have found works for a lot of people, and you might want to think about this for yourself, is to find 2 or 3 people that you can work with, what we call accountability partners. I mean, wouldn't it be great if every one of you had a broker manager that would sit down with you once a week and hold you accountable to your plan? I mean, that would be great, okay? Wouldn't it be great if you and your spouse could sit down once a week in a civil tongue and discuss your business? Because when you start discussing with your spouse, many times they get upset, and do it civilly and discuss your plan. That would be great. But since that generally isn't going to happen, or wouldn't it really be great if every one of you was involved in our coaching so we could do it with you? But since all those are somewhat of a fantasy, you can find somebody in your office, somebody that you've met at a seminar, somebody you feel comfortable with, a competitor, one of your peers that you can use and have as an accountability partner. And it's very common that the better the agent, the more accountability partners they have, where they have 2 or 3 people they can talk to on a regular basis. It's kind of like a sounding board, okay? Where you can pick up the phone twice a week and call your accountability partner and say, man, I'm off the track, give me a little lift, or man, I'm really flying high, keep me going, or what are you doing and how have you been, and where are you in your numbers, and where are you in the goals you've set, and you have a conversation about your business plan to keep each other motivated and on track. So remember that the numbers are the foundation for the whole thing. I mean, the numbers are the foundation for every good business plan. And the numbers allow you to move away from any obstacles that would get in the way of building your business. And the mindset that you carry, and we're going to talk about mindset in a few minutes to you and in one of our future sessions, the mindset becomes critical. Man has no problem achieving the goals they set. Man has problem always setting goals. Obviously, when Earl made that quote in 1956, he wasn't thinking about it from a sexist standpoint, using man as being a human being. Guys and gals, it is critical that you start setting some very strong goals, writing up the plan to support it, putting all the details down on paper, monitoring it, holding yourself accountable to it, and doing it on a regular basis. I know this session can be critical to the long-term growth of your business. Watch this DVD 100 times if you have to. It's short, it's to the point. Have some fun with it.